You know what I really hate? People who complain. They just tick me off. They keep going on and on about their own problems. It's almost like they're not listening to anybody else. And they just, every single little thing just sets them off, and they get more and more annoying. And you keep going to go, dude, aren't you happy with anything? And I just, oh. By now you probably heard me talk a little bit about my time at Little Caesars Pizza. I was an assistant manager, and that meant that one of the things I got to do is answer complaints when someone had a problem. And people complained all the time. Sometimes we messed up. Sometimes I had one person jump over the counter and threaten to knife me once because his pizza was going to be 5 minutes late. And I had someone scream at me for a full half hour because they didn't like their receipt. So I heard a lot of complaints, and I got pretty good at dealing with them. And about 2/3 of the time, I would get the person who is complaining to apologize to me for complaining. How did I do that? And what does it have to do with you? Right now, you should be working on the complaint letter. Normally, I don't do videos for minor assignments, but dealing with complaints is a very valuable skill to have. So I think it's worth talking about a little bit and examining how you can do it well. Now, the minor assignment is spelled out in the assignment sheet as always, and as always, you should probably look at your own specific classes to get all the proper details. But we're talking about complaints and how you deal with them. How do you deal with a complaint? Apologizing is always a good move. And how do you apologize? Well, luckily Ted is here to help us.
Over the years, people have come up with some truly awful apologies. From classic non-apologies to evasive excuses and flimsy corporate promises, it's all too easy to give a bad apology. But researchers have found that good apologies generally share certain elements, and thoughtfully considering these factors can help you make amends in a wide variety of situations. Since public apologies have their own unique complications, we're going to focus on some person-to-person examples. So picture this. Your new office has free ice cream sandwiches in the communal fridge. Or at least, that's what you thought. But on Friday, when you're helping your co-worker Terence set up another colleague's birthday party, he finds that half the ice cream he bought for the celebration is gone. While this is obviously an embarrassing accident, coming forward and apologizing is still the right thing to do. Understanding and accepting responsibility for your actions is what some researchers call the centerpiece of an apology. But it's okay if this feels difficult and vulnerable. It's supposed to be. The costly nature of apologies is part of what makes them meaningful. So while you might be tempted to defend your actions as accidental, it's important to remember that a good apology isn't about making you feel better. It's about seeking to understand the perspective of the wronged party and repair the damage to your relationship. This means that while clarifying your intentions non-defensively can be helpful, your mistake being an accident shouldn't absolve you from offering a sincere apology. But what if your mistake wasn't an accident? Consider this. You promised your friend Marie that you'll attend her championship football match. But another friend just called to offer you an extra ticket for your favorite musician's farewell tour. You know this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and you can't pass it up. Plus, you figure Marie wouldn't mind if you missed the game. She always has plenty of fans supporting her. But the next day, Marie tells you she was really hurt when she didn't see you in the crowd. You feel terrible for upsetting her, and genuinely want to apologize, but while you regret hurting Marie, you're not actually sure if you made the wrong choice. So how can you reach beyond that terrible non-apology "I'm sorry you feel this way." In situations like this, it can be easy to focus on rationalizing your actions when you should be working to understand the other person's perspective. Consider asking Marie how you made them feel to better understand your offense. In this case, Marie might explain that she was disappointed you broke your promise and she was really counting on your support. This kind of clarity can help you recognize your wrongdoing and honestly accept how your actions caused harm. Then you can frame your apology around addressing her concerns, perhaps by admitting that it was wrong of you to break your promise and you're sorry you weren't there for her. Clearly acknowledging wrongdoing indicates that you know exactly how you messed up, and it can give Marie faith that you'll behave differently moving forward. But it's always helpful to indicate exactly how you'll change and what you'll do to repair the damage caused by your offense. Researchers call this the offer of repair, and it's often rated as one of the most critical parts of an apology. In some cases, these gestures are straightforward, like offering to replace the ice cream you ate. However, with less tangible transgressions, this might need to be more symbolic, like expressing your love and respect for someone you wronged. One common offer of repair is a verbal commitment not to make the same mistake again, but promising to do better only works if you actually do better. Taking the victim's perspective, accepting responsibility, and making concrete offers of repair are just a few of the elements of a good apology. But remember, apologies aren't about getting forgiveness and moving on. They're about expressing remorse and accepting accountability. And the best apologies are just the first step on the road to reconciliation. Taking the time to apologize properly can sometimes require us to regulate our emotions first. But how do you actually do that? Find out with this video.
Now, in terms of what the complainer wants, the complainer generally wants two things from you. They want you to understand their perspective. They want you to understand that they're angry and why they're angry. And they want you to repair the damage. It's not just about, oh, gee, I'm sorry. What can you do to fix it? And if you can make the complainer know that you understand their perspective and will try to repair whatever damage happens, you can turn an enemy into a friend, which is a good thing because who needs enemies? So, what should you do when you're dealing with a complainer? Threefold approach. Acknowledge the issue. Apologize. Resolve the issue. And this brings us to the sample complaint letter. Now, let's get into this bit by bit. Do they acknowledge the issue? Well, when you get into the text of it, Brian has failed 3 classes this year. And that kind of says what's wrong, but the one thing it doesn't really acknowledge is the feelings of the letter writer. Yeah, we know Brian's failing the classes. I'm upset about this, and this paper doesn't really give any heed to that at all. So in this area, this is a bit of a failure. Do they say they're sorry? Well, the closest you get to anything like that is we cannot blame 3 different teachers for Brian's poor performance. We believe it is on Brian to improve. Which reads like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's all your fault. And the problem with this is, while it might indeed be all of the kid's fault, when you say something like this, you tend to come off as a condescending jerkbag. And when you come off as a condescending jerkbag, it just makes the complainer angrier. The third element, do they try to rectify the problem? Do they offer a solution? Get it? Solution? Well, there are 2 parts in this letter that make nods towards that. First, he can achieve higher grades through extra hours of study, improved work ethic, after-school programs, and many more options. You notice the one thing that they're not mentioning is, we will do this for you. It's like, no, Brian has to do everything himself, which isn't really them offering a solution. Later in this, if we meet periodically, we can set and track goals for Brian, which will put him on course to graduate with a sufficient GPA for college acceptance. Is sort of that. It's sort of giving a solution, but it really almost reads as if the administrators in this case are trying to minimize the amount of work they have to do in this case. So this is very much a yeah, but not really. So overall, how good does this complaint letter do in addressing the needs of the complainant? Meh. We're living in an age where you've probably heard tons of really bad apologies, a whole bunch of non-apology apologies, and they should just annoy the living heck out of you. If you can handle dealing with complaints well, it's going to be a valuable skill. Yeah, I know you're perfect and you don't do anything wrong. I'm the same way. But still, there are going to be those people who think we do. So we need to deal with that, right? See you in the next video.